Viktor Orban lost the elections and should leave power until May. The incoming prime minister is a man who worked closely with him called Peter Magyar. The left has been celebrating Orban's defeat as if a hard liberal took 16 years of hegemony and tore it to pieces. However, take a look at these videos.
Mi őszintén beszélünk, és valóban szeretnénk megóvni a hazánkat és Európát is az illegális migrációtól, és ellentétben Orbán Viktorral nem fogunk kiengedni 2200 jogerősen elítélt embercsempészt a magyar börtönökből.
Does it sound like a liberal who loves the European Commission? Not so much, right? It's safe to say that Peter Magyar isn't promising a liberal revolution. He might be promising a more efficient version of the same style of government of Viktor Orban. And if the media thinks that the Orban era is dead, then they haven't been paying attention to who actually replaced him. And in this 10-minute brief, you will know who truly Peter Magyar is. Hungary held parliamentary elections on April 12, 2026. When the results came in, it was over quickly. The Tisza Party, led by 45-year-old lawyer and member of the European Parliament Peter Magyar, won 53% of the vote to Orbán's Fidesz party's 37%. This margin translated into a two-thirds supermajority in parliament. That is enough seats to amend the Hungarian constitution. Orbán conceded within hours. Magyar addressed the crowd on the banks of the Danube.
Magyar emberek ma igent mondtak Európára, igent mondtak a szabad Magyarországra, igent mondtak arra, hogy képviseljük őket, hogy segítsük őket, hogy rendbe tegyük az országot, mert ez egy magyar kormány, a mindenkori magyar kormány feladata.
The Orbán era, which began in 2010, was over. His Fidesz party, which had never lost a parliamentary election since that year, was out. The celebration from Orbán's adversaries was instant and global. EU Commission President von der Leyen declared, "Hungary has chosen Europe." Obama called it a victory for democracy. Chuck Schumer, pointing at Trump, posted, "Pay attention, Donald Trump. Wannabe dictators wear out their welcome. November 2026 can't come soon enough." The right, however, was more divided. J.D. Vance, who had campaigned beside Orban in Budapest weeks earlier, said that he was sad, but not surprised.
I'm sad that he lost. We'll work very well, I'm sure, with the next Prime Minister of Hungary. But it wasn't a bad trip at all, because it's worth standing by people, even if you don't win every race.
Trump pivoted quickly, praising Orban's immigration record on day one, then calling Magyar a good man who would do good work the same evening. And the EU moved immediately. Von der Leyen announced plans to use the moment to eliminate member states' national veto power on EU foreign policy, a power Orban had used to block Ukraine sanctions for years. The EU Commission had already issued Magyar a list of 27 demands before any frozen funds would be released, including loosening restrictions on asylum seekers. But while the Hungarian phenomenon takes form, take a few seconds to subscribe and like this video, and also turn on the notification bell so you know as soon as we drop a new video. Now, Peter Magyar is not who his international press coverage makes him out to be. He is 45 years old, a lawyer from a prominent Budapest family. His great-uncle was Hungary's president from 2000 to 2005. He lived in Brussels for a decade as a diplomat. His ex-wife was Orbán's justice minister. For years, Magyar was a loyal Fidesz insider. What broke him from the party was a corruption scandal in early 2024, in which Hungary's president pardoned an official convicted of covering up child abuse at a state home. Magyar went public with a viral interview accusing the system of hiding behind women while the real culprits looted the country. The video was seen by millions, and an overnight political movement followed. He revived the dormant Tisza Party, whose name translates to respect and freedom, and rose to 30% of the vote in the European Parliament elections. By 2026, the momentum was unstoppable. The reason Orban lost is simpler than the global headlines suggest. According to a Publicus and Nepsava poll, 53% of Hungarians believe the former prime minister is involved in corruption. Gallup's poll released in the beginning of April also showed that politics and politics-related issues like corruption, taxes, and spending were considered the most important. 16 years in power is a long time, and Fidesz had accumulated the institutional rot that comes with it. A scandal over Orban's foreign minister allegedly leaking EU classified information to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov broke in the final days of the campaign. The economy had also been struggling. EU funds, roughly 18 billion euros or about 10% of Hungary's national output, had been frozen by Brussels over rule of law concerns, and ordinary Hungarians were feeling it. The campaign also featured a near-miss pipeline bombing near the Hungarian border, which Orban blamed on Ukrainian operatives trying to influence the vote, without success. So, Orban actually might have lost because voters who share most of his values grew tired of a government they believed had become corrupt. Now, here's what almost every headline about this election got wrong. A change of leader in Budapest is not the same as a change of policy. In his first international press conference, Magyar said Hungary's history is written by the Hungarian people, not in Moscow, not in Brussels, and not in Washington. He said his government would maintain existing immigration restrictions, continue purchasing Russian energy until 2035, not the EU's 2027 deadline, and would not fast-track Ukraine's EU membership. The European Policy Center, in a pre-election analysis, warned that EU leaders should not assume that a Magyar government would mark a clean break with Orban-era policies. The center notes that Tisza MEPs had already voted alongside Fidesz on Ukraine, agriculture, and migration in the European Parliament. The Daily Signal senior fellow Lilla Nora Kiss put it directly. Magyar's platform reflects continuity with conservative priorities on immigration, borders, family, and peace. So this is not the liberal revolution Brussels thinks it just won. What Hungary elected was a government that wants to fight corruption and restore institutional credibility, not one that wants open borders or unquestioning compliance with Brussels, which is exactly why the EU's move to eliminate the national veto matters. As Orban warned for years, removing the veto strips small nations of their last reliable check on being steamrolled by Germany and France. Despite the celebrations in the liberal sphere, the EU is showing reluctance and even awareness of Magyar's quote-unquote danger by trying to dismantle that protection before Magyar is even sworn in. Viktor Orban lost a free and fair election. He conceded cleanly. Those who spent 16 years calling him a dictator must now grapple with the fact that he followed the democratic process to the exit. But for those in Brussels hoping for a submissive liberal Hungary, the reality is likely to be a shock. Peter Magyar didn't campaign on open borders or EU compliance. He campaigned on anti-corruption and institutional renewal. What we're witnessing isn't the death of Orbanism, it is its metamorphosis. Hungary hasn't moved to the left. It has traded an aging, scandal-sworn pioneer for a younger, more disciplined version. Peter Magyar may well be Orban 2.0. A leader who intends to fight the same battles against the EU's woke agenda, but with the institutional credibility that Orban lost along the way, according to his voters. And it's important to repeat, Magyar explicitly campaigned on controlled borders, national sovereignty, and not becoming a Brussels pawn. But what do you think? Does this change the political outlook in Hungary for the worse? Will Orban return? Give us your opinion in the comments. And while you're at it, subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and turn on the notification bell so you know as soon as we drop a new video. And if you want to stay ahead of our releases, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Don't miss this exclusive chance. See you in our next 10-minute brief.